Yo, what up guys, Ross Scalps here, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing Aquaman 2 The Lost Kingdom. Leading up to this movie, I just feel like there was a bunch of hate. Whether it was warranted or not, it's another thing, but you have the Amber Heard situation, you have all the reshoots, and the bad test screenings and whatnot, and all the reviews, and just people not being interested because James Gunn is rebooting the DCU. All that into effect into this movie, it's kind of hard not to think about that while you're watching the movie. But if you're able to put all that aside and just watch the movie for what it is, I think you'll see that it's a kind of fun, lighthearted, fairly entertaining movie. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it was great, but I'm not going to sit here and say it was trash. I think it does some things right, and I think it does some things where you could have expected more or wanted more. And I guess with that we'll go into some of the pros that I liked. And I think the number one pro would be Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa, their chemistry together, just the journey that they go on. Working together, having to build that trust, and even when they're fighting together, like going together on this trip, learning how to trust one another, and just their chemistry, like the banter between them, the jokes that they had. I just felt like that was probably the best part of the movie. And Patrick Wilson's one of my favorite actors, so whatever role he's in, I'm always down to watch. And just seeing them two talk and the chemistry, I think, was one of the best parts about the movie. Another thing I'd say is Black Manta. They try to make him kind of a fierce, you know, like menacing villain, for the most part. And the action scenes in this movie, with him in particular, when him and Aquaman are fighting or whatnot, they're pretty good. Especially this one later in the movie, or maybe like a little after the midway point. I feel like there's this one scene where they're fighting and it's just a pretty cool execution and fight style. Alright, and I think that's probably all for the pros. Now I'll get into some of the cons. It's just hard with all the controversies surrounding this movie not to just think of it as its own movie. So I would say that's kind of a negative. You know all the hate it's getting. Whether it's warranted or not, you know it's getting hate. Along with that, I feel like Black Manta, while he was menacing, he just became a generic bad guy. And along with that, the story was just generic, like, team-up. While yes, it was fun, lighthearted, it was just a generic team-up movie that we've seen before, where the protagonists go on a trip, trying to get something or do something, and it's something we've seen before. And I guess the last major con I would say is that while Black Manta was a generic villain, they also did him dirty at the end. I don't think the climax reached its apex. I think it was moving in that trajectory, and then it kind of just boop. It went halfway up, and then it just didn't satisfy me what they did with Black Manta and how they handled that end situation. And it was kind of, as well, like Aquaman 1, at the end it's just CGI everywhere. But overall, I mean, this movie, if you can separate the negativity from it, this was honestly a fun, lighthearted experience. I'm not going to say it was great, I'm not going to say it was terrible, but if I had to give this movie an award, I would give it the salty popcorn. But overall, it's a movie that's fun, lighthearted, and I think for the most part, the common viewer will enjoy this movie. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.